This is The Money. I'm Richard Adey. And today we're looking at something you may not see as economic. In fact, you may not see at all. Street trees. So not trees in gardens or trees in parks or reserves, not trees on private property, trees in the street. They have a value, one that scientists and economists are just beginning to get to grips with. And you might be surprised by how big those values get. Roger Swinburne has been doing the maths. The director of infrastructure and engineering firm AECOM has written a report on this green infrastructure and what it provides.
I guess things like air quality, providing shading, biodiversity, water quality, winter temperature variances and average heatwave temperatures are all impacted by the quantity of trees that we have in our cities. But they're not actually values in their own right. They're the physical implications of having trees in our cities. What we found in our study was the value returned are things like the improved amenity value, energy consumption differentials, infrastructure durability improves with greater shading, ecosystem services, property value, which was a very big one, which we'll probably talk about shortly. The health and heat stress facing our community, the health, mental health. There's actually a very strong correlation between the amount of canopy in an urban environment and the mental health and mental health stress that's faced by those communities. But also health and walking, which relates to heart health and obesity and all sorts of other health variables that are actually directly affected.
He looked at the impact of canopy, so the crowns of mature trees that are close enough to interact.
We actually plotted across the Greater Sydney region where the percentage of canopy was different in different areas, including Blacktown, Willoughby and Annandale. And what we found was that there was a correlation, or at least a very positive trend, between summer surface temperature and the amount of canopy that was seen.
And they also reduce pollution or improve air quality at least.
Absolutely, yeah, no. So there's a lot of studies out there that talk about the direct relationship between canopy coverage and air pollution, but also it's the perception of air pollution and the perception of noise pollution is actually also improved with greater canopy and greater shading.
Shade really matters. Roger's report found that going from 20% canopy coverage to 28% lowers the air temperature 4 degrees and road and pavement temperature by 14. But trees don't only bring benefits.
The challenge is that the costs are actually quite significant as well, and they need to be accounted for in the same point of conversation, and that is that things like the organic litter or the impact on the infrastructure around lifting paths and the water demand or the infrastructure conflicts between power lines or water infrastructure is a cost associated with trees as well. And I think we need to be careful when we're looking at how we position the value of trees, that we do take both into account. But what we were finding that overall, when we started looking at the numbers of it, though, that the net benefits do significantly outweigh those underlying costs.
Lyndal Plant, who's an urban forester, has done her PhD on costs and benefits.
I've been measuring the premium that residential home buyers in Brisbane were prepared to pay to live in leafy streets, and I translated that premium to an annual property value benefit that could be compared then to the annual costs of maintaining and planting and managing street trees in Brisbane.
So putting numbers on something we sort of already know about.
I think it's fair to say that we know that houses sell for higher prices in leafy streets as well. But not many people have measured that premium and measured that premium for a particular purpose.
All right, what did you find?
Okay, I found that after controlling for many house, property and location variables across 2,300 house sale prices, there was a small but significant effect of having street trees nearby, and that depended on how much canopy cover those trees were providing.
How much do you need and what sort of property price effect do you see?
I would call it the leafy streets factor, and the leafy streets factor in Brisbane at the time of my study was contributing up to a 4% premium on house sale prices, which if we took median house sale price at the time of my study, which was $530,000 in Brisbane, then that's a premium of almost $20,000 for that level of leafiness in the street, which is around about 50% tree canopy cover over the footpath.
That figure, 50% tree canopy cover over the footpath, is the Brisbane City Council's target. At the moment, the average is quite a bit less.
In order to calculate that annual property value benefit, I looked at the current level of footpath canopy cover at the time of my study, which was 35%. And I translated that to the annual property value benefit at the time and compared that to costs. So at 35%, we're still seeing a premium, a much lesser premium, but I think there would be a threshold to an upper premium. But that lesser premium was still delivering, in the year of my study, a total property value benefit of street trees at that level of $30 million. Now that's twice as much as what council was spending on planning and maintaining and managing those street trees.
So the average amount of canopy in Brisbane provides a property price bump worth more than double the cost of the trees to the council.
People wanted more leafiness in the streets. They were expressing that not by stating their preference, but revealing their preference through their house purchasing patterns. The other part, of course, is that $30 million compared to about the $13 million that was being invested at the time of my study certainly suggests that street trees are paying their way. But it also depends on who's the beneficiary. Most of that $30 million in annual benefits is going back to homeowners at the time of sale. Not all of that is being returned, of course, to the local council. A portion of it is, in terms of the flow-on effect in rates revenue, but not all of it's flowing back to local councils.
That's true with a bigger canopy too. So when a 50% canopy level delivers that 4% premium to house prices, it's the home seller who gets the benefit. Because people like living in leafy streets.
My very first experience of public green space is my street. I am fortunate to have some public parkland nearby, but my first experience of public green space is my street. The street gives off, because it's tree-lined, it gives off a signal that this is a place that's encouraging an outdoor lifestyle. So I think people are not just purchasing a house for all the properties of the house and the land on which it's on, but they're purchasing a lifestyle, a neighbourhood that's signalling that people do care about this place, they want to be outdoors, and who doesn't want to be outdoors in subtropical Brisbane?